Welcome to the Passive Income Podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you to today's guest, Stock Mom. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to throw it over to you and you can give yourself a bit of an introduction.
Hey, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm glad that I was finally able to coordinate a time that worked for both of us. That's been a little bit of a challenge. I started selling options for a living quite some time ago. And once I was able to replace my corporate income, I took a leap of faith. My stepfather taught me how to sell options. He's been trading them since they were on paper. But I started, just long-term investing originally. I
Right.
worked for a family business, corporate America for a very long time. I had enough of the corporate rat race. It was tough to leave and take that leap of faith, knowing that there wasn't going to be, a paycheck coming in every single week. But sometimes you just have to do it.
Yeah.
I do day trade commons, but most of my income is from selling options. I like to be paid. I don't really buy options unless they're part of a spread. But the stock mom name came from my kids. One thing that really frustrated me is that they don't teach financial education in school the way they should. They teach basic economics, but they don't teach
Right.
kids about investing. If we started investing when we were my kids' age, which is young, early 20s, I would be a multi millionaire at this point.
Right.
So I started helping my kids invest, and their friends became very interested. So they started calling me stock mom. So that's
Nice.
where I got the name. And I had originally started a YouTube channel years ago to talk to youngsters. That was what I wanted to do. But work got in the way. So I've recently fired it back up. And now I'm talking more, probably, I would say, geopolitics, how it affects the economy. So really taking a different approach this time around, not really
Yes.
covering individual stocks. So that's a little bit about me. I live in New York, which I would love to get out of New York eventually. As you know, I would prefer not to live in a blue state, but it's on my bucket list to get out of here in a couple of years. So
Yeah. So you briefly mentioned your YouTube channel there. I'll be sure to put that link in the description below. So anyone who wants to check out the Stock Mom YouTube channel, the link will be there in the description. So check that out.
awesome.
And
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. I want to talk about options trading because I've had several guests on here trying to teach me options trading, and I don't know, maybe I'm a lost cause. Because generally, people want to learn about them. I have had a lot of views on the other videos of people um, explaining options trading and starting like right from, I guess, the most basic concept and the most basic element of options trading. So jump in there and take me
Sure.
through it. Take me through the most basic beginner level of options trading and then up to wherever.
Well, sure. So I'm actually working on a course for beginners. So that should be, I should have that out probably by the end of the month. Um, and I have been recording the course with my daughter, critiquing it because she's really learning how, because it's not that easy to understand. I mean, you could get into the weeds with all the technicals and the Greeks and all, but I mean, basically what I do is the wheel strategy. So I will sell a cash secured put or a bull put spread, which is it's just another way of it's a credit spread. I like to get paid. So I will put up my capital saying that I will buy 100 shares. One option is worth 100 shares of a company that I believe in at a lower price. So let's take Tesla, for instance. If it's trading at 330 or 334, and I I've done my homework and I don't think that 334 is a good price to pay for Tesla. I want to pay 300. I will go out to the third Friday of every month. I only use the third Friday because that's where the institutions trade and there's a lot more liquidity. And I will put up my capital. I will sell a put, putting up my capital, saying that, okay, I will, if it hits 330 on March 21st, that would be the next date that I'm trading at. I'm okay with having those shares put on me. They're assigned to me. You still keep the premium that you collected for tying up your capital, but now you have that premium. Plus, you now have shares at 300. Could it be trading at 280, 290 at that point? Sure. But you're still comfortable with owning it at that price because you're still a big discount and you did collect the premium. And then
Right.
what I will do is I will then, if I get assigned to the shares, I will sell a covered call. So if I get assigned at 300, I will sell a covered call, say for the following month at 330. And for me, I am a trader and I trade under a corporation. So I want those shares to get called away. I don't really want to keep the shares in my trading portfolio. I have a trading portfolio and my long-term portfolios. So I'll sell the covered call. So basically I'm selling the option to someone else to take my shares away from me at 330. The person on the other side of that contract is hoping that, they're buying a call because they believe that Tesla is going to go up.
Right.
So if Tesla is trading below 330 on the next expiration date, I keep my shares and I keep the premium that I collected. And then I just go out and I sell a covered call at a later date. If it's trading above 330, the shares get called away. I got paid on the cash secured put. I got paid on the $30 appreciation of the share price. And I got paid on the covered calls, giving someone else the option to take my shares away. So that's basically what I do.
So just to break this down for my very basic brain and basic math. So if you were to buy at 300 and sell the covered call at 330, and there's 100 shares in a lot, so that's 100 times 30,
Yeah.
three thousand.
$3,000.
So that's a pretty good trade, right?
Yeah,
If you're making
absolutely.
3 grand, 3 grand is 3 grand.
But there's more than 3 grand because think about it. You collected the premium by
And the
selling the
premium
put
as
at the
well.
beginning. And you also collected the premium by selling the covered call. So I don't like to buy options. I like to sell it. I like to be the one creating the contract. I like to be in charge. Um,
Right.
and I like to be in control of my own money. And and it's worked out well for me. I trade very safely. There's other things called Greeks, which the delta is basically how the stock moves, but I'm very careful. And I don't take big risks, because I need to protect the capital because the capital is the well that, the 9 to 5 stays away if I keep the capital. If I don't have the capital, I have to go back to work and I really don't want to. So, but it took me a long time to master it. It's not that easy. And I do use a lot of spreads too, credit spreads, cash secured bull put spreads and bear call spreads, some iron condors, which we won't get into the weeds there. There's a little
Yeah,
more.
no, go for it. What does any of that mean?
So they're credit spreads. So it's not a debit spread. You debit, you're paying a credit. A bull put spread is basically you're bullish on the stock. You are selling a cash secured put, but you are also buying a put at the same time to prevent you're giving yourself more flexibility because if you do get assigned the shares, you then have the ability to then go ahead and sell the shares at a certain price. And a bear credit spread is you're betting that the shares are going to stay below a certain price. So say a stock like Tesla's ran way up and it's at $450 and you look at the technicals and the RSI, which is the relative strength indicator, is telling you that this is way overbought. It's blasted through all the moving averages. It's way overbought. You can then go ahead, do a credit spread, which is a bear call spread, betting that the share price is going to come down. So you would go way above what what's trading at right now. So if it's trading at 400, you'd go up to 450 and create your spread. That would be your starting point. And as the price pulls back, it becomes profitable. You can close it early. I don't usually let my options contracts expire. I usually close them early for a profit. I take profit pretty quickly. People ask me why, and I said, well, because you're tying up your capital. And by the time you're 3 days away from expiration, I've already taken 10 trades. So, it doesn't make sense. I target anywhere from 15 to 30% with my spreads and with my cash secured puts and covered calls. Take the money and run. You never know
Yeah,
what can happen,
exactly. And
So
15 to 30% sounds pretty damn good as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of option sellers that like to just, they like to squeak out as much as possible. They're also not trading full time. They're setting up their contracts and letting them, just letting them marinate. And then they close them a few days before expiration, trying to squeeze out that last little bit of premium. But for me, I'm active. And because I trade under a corporation with the IRS, I have to trade a certain amount.
Mhm.
So, I don't want to just write monthly options and just let them sit there. So,
And so what was the reasoning for that, for setting yourself up or as a corporation as opposed to just trading as an individual?
so a lot of people trade as a single member LLC. I elected an S corp because I wanted to be able to have a 401k with match and health benefits if I needed it for my corporation. So when you trade under a corporation, whether that is an LLC or an S corp. I'll stop right there. I put together a really good thread on X. It's in my highlights if you go there. I had pinned it, but I can repin it. It goes through all the advantages. Some of the simple advantages are wash sales. The wash sales don't apply. So you can take a loss and you could buy the stock back or sell the options the very next day. The 30 rule doesn't apply. And a lot of times that limits people because they have their favorite stocks that they like to trade all the time. And if they want to book a loss, sometimes you book a loss. It is what, we take losses. We all do, especially if you're doing tax loss harvesting in December. You have to wait. You can't go back into that same equity. So that was one thing that was very appealing to me. Another thing is write-offs, because my is a trading business. I write off my internet connection. I write off all my subscriptions, computers, so many things, any courses that I take, your option, the commissions that you pay are tax deductible. If you do use margin, the margin interest is tax deductible. So when I decided to make it a business, it really made sense to use a corporation. It's also income tax. It's not short-term capital gains, which is appealing. So that's why I decided to go that route, just really for tax purposes. My stepfather is a CPA, and he encouraged me, if I was going to make this my full-time career, that it made sense to do that.
Right. Okay. Well, you mentioned your X account there. I will also be sure to have that link in the description below as well, so you can check out Stock Mom on X. Great content every day, as you and I know. You do post a lot about, earlier today was all about the CPI, right? And a lot of other things. You tend to point out individual companies quite often, as I'm just going from memory here of what I've seen on your posts.
Yeah, I mean, I research a lot. Am I always right? Do I always get it right? No, but I was pounding the table on Palantir when it was $6 in the fall of 2022, and then 7 in January of 23. Or was it the opposite? Well, I posted my purchases, my last 2 big purchases, but I was pounding the table, and people didn't understand what Palantir does, and I get it. But it worked
People
out.
still don't know. They're like, wow, that
Right.
stock went from $6 to $106, and we still don't know what they do.
Right. Well, you have to do your research. You have to have conviction. You can't just buy a stock because some YouTuber or someone on X told you to buy it. That's just dumb, because guess what? Then if something happens, if it goes lower, you're going to panic sell. So if you don't understand what the company does, and if you don't understand the fundamentals of the company, then you have no business purchasing the stock. Another one I just recently called out was Uber, and I called out Uber way before Bill Ackman bought it. And he just disclosed a large purchase. Everyone's like, oh no, Tesla's going to put Uber out of business. Guess who's going to be Tesla's biggest customer? Uber. There's plenty of room in the autonomous driving space for all of these companies. Uber has a moat. Their financials are fabulous. So, I try to call out companies that I am invested in, because I've been wrong. There's been a couple that I've been wrong on, and they didn't execute the way that they were going to. And that's just why I try to only invest in profitable companies that have already achieved GAAP profitability. SoFi is GAAP profitable. It's been struggling a little bit, but I think that Noto is a great CEO. I think that's another stock that will do very well. I'm very bullish on the fintech industry. I think legacy banks are not dying, but I think they're struggling. And I think as we become more of a digital currency world, I think that financial technology is going to do well. And that's why I'm also buying PayPal right at this price point. I've been buying since it tumbled into the 50s.
And life would be no fun if we were just always right.
Yeah, this is true. How would we learn lessons?
You would never learn a lesson. It would just, everything is always going my way. It's like,
yeah, no, definitely.
It's nice when it happens for a few weeks or months at a time, when everything goes your way. Those are great weeks, months, and whatnot. But yeah, you can't expect it to happen all the time. That's for sure.
Listen, if it did, we would be, first of all, talk about being an oracle. We would be billionaires if everything went right for us all the time. But then you don't learn. They always say wise man knows what he doesn't know. I'm always learning. I don't sleep a lot. I'm always researching. It's hard for me to shut my brain off. I don't know, it's either a blessing or a curse, one or the other. But I don't know. I have a little bit of obsession with macro and microeconomics. And, it just, if you really don't know what's going on in the economy, really, you should just be investing in robo investing in ETFs. If you really don't know how the economy is going to affect your equities, then you're better off just put it in a broad-based S&P
ETF
500
and chill,
ETF.
right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like VOO, or even a total stock market ETF like VTI. You know, I love the Vanguard products, low expense ratios, just
yeah,
set it and forget it.
those are tough to go wrong with. Like you say, if you don't want to pay attention and it's not your thing, like obviously people like us, people on X who are like into it every day, watching and seeing what's happening. But I think the majority of people, that's extremely good advice. Just ETF and chill, set it and forget it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you zoom out and you only bought broad-based ETFs during corrections or bear markets, you would beat 99% of the suits. It's true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. I mean, look at the S&P 500 since the 20s. I mean, not that we've been alive since the 20s, but even 20 years ago, if you bought in '08 and '09 heavily, and then you bought again, just for us, so I'm looking at the recessions that we've had in the big market. If you bought, well, actually, if you bought in the early 2000s, then you bought in '08 and '09 heavily. I mean, you should be investing all the time, but I'm saying like double down, triple down, quadruple
Yeah.
down during those, 1819, the recessions, COVID crash. I mean, you would be way ahead of all the hedge funds because they're active. They have to be buying and selling constantly for their customers, or else what are their customers paying them for? But I don't think you need to pay somebody in a suit to manage your money. I think you can do it yourself.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that's obviously different now than back in the '90s, when if you wanted to invest in the stock market, you had to like pick up a phone book and look up stockbroker and call up a stockbroker on the phone and figure out how to make a trade. Whereas today, you just pick up your phone, download an app, and away you
Crazy.
go. Right? Like,
What app do you use? What do you use to invest?
so there's one here in Canada. It's only in Canada. It's called Wealth Simple. And what's that one? What's the one everyone uses in the States that's like the free app?
Oh, like the younger people, Robinhood?
Yeah, Robinhood. That's the one I was trying to think of. So Wealth Simple is very similar to Robinhood, just zero zero commission on trades for Canadian stocks, and then you can upgrade and buy. I think it's a monthly subscription where then it's free to buy U.S. stocks as well. Or if you want to
Oh,
buy
nice.
U.S. stocks individually, there's a little bit of a commission on those. But so anything that's listed on the TSX, Toronto Stock Exchange, it's free
Oh,
commission.
nice.
Yeah.
Do you is there commissions on options?
They just recently started options on that app not too long ago. So, and again, I don't know enough about them. I've tried to learn, and yeah, it's definitely on my to-do list to understand options trading better and get into it. But
Well,
um,
you can be the guinea pig. When I finish my
okay,
course, I will send it to you and you take it and let me know if it's I'm trying to make it as simple as possible because I've taken courses and I mean, my stepfather really taught me, but when he was teaching me and I was still taking other courses because he was not retired yet, he was still working, and I was just like, I mean, because they got so deep in the weeds with the
yeah,
Greeks, the delta and the theta and the gamma and the rho and the vega. I'm like, you got to keep it simple,
yeah,
really, really simple. And these people that buy options, there's some people I watch. I don't know if their numbers are real accurate or if it's just clickbait on Twitter. These they buy calls and they buy puts. I don't know. I think it's risky. You can lose everything buying calls and puts unless it's part of a spread. If it's part of a spread, it's different. But I don't know. I don't trade that way. I think it's very, I would, they move so fast that you can lose $1,000 in a matter of minutes. And it's not worth it to me.
yeah.
But I'll give you the course when I finish it. You let me know
Okay,
what you think.
sounds good. Sounds
So,
good.
just quick, I was with TD Ameritrade for years, and they got bought out by Schwab, and I love Thinkorswim. That's why I haven't left Schwab. I am not happy with Schwab, really. Um, it's just the customer service is okay, but the app is now glitchy. I don't like the Schwab app itself, but Thinkorswim is incredible for options traders. The desktop and the mobile version are so awesome that I can't leave them. But talking about commissions, you can negotiate. So that's one thing a lot of people don't know. Call up your broker and say, especially if it's Schwab, because they're losing people like crazy. So if you are using Thinkorswim and you don't want to leave Schwab, call them up and tell them to lower your commission. It's usually 65 cents is the starting point, but I'm down to 25 cents a contract, which for me, if I'm trading constantly, that it adds up. It's a lot of
Right.
money. It's thousands and thousands of dollars a year. So that's
Yeah.
something for options.
That can make a big difference, right?
Oh, huge. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I write it off, but still, I don't want to pay
Yeah.
it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. TD Ameritrade, that was Toronto Dominion, one of the
Yep.
big Canadian banks.
Yeah. Yeah. They got bought out.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And then Thinkorswim, just because I'm not familiar with it, is that like an app within the app or something?
Yeah. So TD Ameritrade used that app. You can use the TD app or you could use their Thinkorswim, which is I think the guy who I think someone from Interactive Brokers actually developed that app originally. Or maybe no. I think it's Tasty Trade. I don't I think it was the guy from
Okay.
Tasty Trade, but it's just a really simple, it's simple, but there's so much technical analysis. Their charts, you don't have to have another subscription if you have Thinkorswim. You just the charting is just incredible on the desktop app. So and I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of set in my ways now. I've been using it for so many years that the
Right.
thought of switching is just daunting to me. There are other apps where you do pay zero commissions on options. You just pay like the payment because they collect the payment for order flow.
Mhm.
So like that public app, they actually you get rebates now for trading options. You get money back to be a trader on their site, but
Wow.
it doesn't have all the features that I want at this point. So
Okay, I'm gonna shift gears here a little bit. So
sure.
you're a very busy woman. You options trading, you're on X all the time, you're making YouTube videos, and in addition to all of that, you also run a Discord.
And I'm a realtor.
Oh, and a realtor. Okay.
I just have my residual renters that come back every year. So I'm not actively seeking new clients. It's mostly repeats and recommendations. But yeah, and I run a Discord.
Yeah, tell us about your Discord.
So it's super small. I have a little bit under 100 members. I don't want it to be large because I'm very hands-on. My members have access to me in direct message. I do technical analysis for them. I hold their hands when they get into a bad trade. For instance, when on August 5th, when the Japanese yen carry trade unwound, and no one saw that coming. Well, I mean, we were hearing about it, but we didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. And the market really, really corrected very quickly. A lot of people were stuck in
The
trades.
entire global market, I remember that, like,
Yeah.
you could just watch it go by time zone from Asia to Europe
It
to
was
North
awful, and
America,
it was
right? Like,
swift but, we were still in a bull market, so I was telling everyone, "Don't panic. This isn't the start of a bear market. This is a black swan event. They happen. We need to manage our trades." And we had to manage our trades, and luckily, because we were mostly in put spreads, we were able to unwind those trades. So, we were able to take profit on the bought put because when you buy a put and the market tanks, that becomes very profitable. And then we rolled out the short puts, and then some people turned them back into spreads because they didn't have as much capital in their accounts to just it takes up a lot more capital when you're just selling a cash secured put. When it's a spread, you're limiting the premium that you're collecting, but it's less capital intensive. So we were able to roll out these trades, and we saved every single trade. Every single one, we became profitable in the end. And that's the wonderful thing about options. You can manage your trades. You just have to know what you're doing. Unfortunately, during that time, I did lose two members. They were way over leveraged. I tell everyone, your trade should never be more than 1 to 2% of your portfolio, 3 to 4 if you really know what you're doing. But if you're leveraging 10 to 20, 30, 40%, that's gambling.
yeah.
And they blew up their accounts, and they just said, I can't do this anymore. And unfortunately, I felt so horrible because I tell them, please, 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 if you're following my trades, because I share my trades with my Discord, if you're following my trades, they need to be relevant to your portfolio size. And unfortunately, a lot of people have a gambler's mentality, and they didn't listen,
Right.
and I felt really bad. So, but yeah, my Discord, it's quiet. It's not crazy active. There's some people that they don't want to learn. They just want to be told what to trade. So they just take my trades. My win rate is, 90 to 95%. Because I'm very safe too. And I
Yeah.
take profits earlier than most people, but I'm paying my bills. So I have to.
Mhm.
So, I do some portfolio reviews with people, but I always tell them I'm not a licensed financial advisor. We can go over it. I can tell you what I would do, but I'm not telling you what to do. You need to do your own research, talk to someone licensed. I actually am going that route too. I'm looking into becoming a certified financial advisor, so that on my channel and in my Discord, I don't have to say this is for entertainment purposes only. You know,
Not financial
um,
advice.
but yeah, no, I mean, I mentor, I do one-on-ones. If you have a lifetime acts, if you do lifetime to my Discord, you get unlimited one-on-ones. I will spend an hour on Zoom helping you. I don't charge that much because really, honestly, it's for me, it's more rewarding. I'm not looking to, I see some of these Discords of people that don't even have that much experience and they're charging thousands and thousands of dollars. And I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I really started this to help people. And that feeling that I get, when someone's paying me, $25 a month and I just made them $3,000, or $1,500 or,
Yeah.
and they're only paying me to help me cover the expenses of the moderators that are in there and keeping it going, my website. So it's, but I'm very hands-on. I hold their hands and try to encourage them to stay away from zombie companies, crap stocks, companies that are not going to be here after a recession.
Right. Yeah, that gambling, you're better off just to go to Vegas and put it all on red
Exactly.
or
And
or
I've never
black.
been to Vegas. I've never even been. Isn't that
Oh,
crazy?
I've been
Yeah.
there once.
Yeah, my husband's been a few times. I'll get
Yeah,
there eventually.
yeah, it's quite the city. Okay, well, let's shift gears again. And I know you are a huge Trumper. You love Donald Trump, and I think for a lot of great reasons. I like a lot of his policies as well. I love what Elon is doing as well. I keep asking if we can borrow Doge, even just for 2 weeks, to come up here to Canada to start cleaning up our mess as well, because it's just as bad or worse here. So, um, yeah, I guess first, just Donald Trump, winning that election, that was a pretty huge win. I think it was very what's the word, where like decisive, because he
Mm,
won the popular vote by a wide margin. He won all the swing states. And I mean, even if you look at you zoom in on the maps of California and New York, traditional blue states, there's a lot of red popping up on those maps, right? Other
yeah.
than in the large cities of like New York City and LA and whatnot, San Francisco. But so yeah, thoughts on Trump and what has happened since November, I guess.
So like you said, 77 million people voted for Trump. I am of the opinion that the last election was the results were not accurate, but I won't go down my conspiracy theorist.
Where did those extra 20 million voters come from
uh,
in 2020?
so here's a little. My mother was not alive in 2020. She passed away in 2018, and my mother was mailed a mail-in ballot.
Who did she vote for?
My stepfather, he threw it in the garbage. But it's funny because my mother, she was a registered Democrat for many, many, many years. She was old school Democrat, not like the Democrats of today.
Yeah.
But she just never changed her registration. My stepfather, and she got mailed a ballot. And I find that, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but my mother's a registered Democrat. She's not alive and she gets a ballot mailed to her. I mean,
Mhm.
my stepfather tore it up and threw it in the garbage, but before he took photos of it first, so we have the photos of it. But it's ironic that
Right.
people think that the election wasn't rigged. It absolutely was rigged. As far as Trump is concerned, I am a registered Republican, but I am more of a constitutional conservative. I wasn't so much until I met my current husband. And I really believe the Constitution is in place because we should follow the Constitution. If you want to change it, right, try to get a bill passed. That's it. I think Donald Trump is doing a fabulous job. I think promises made, promises kept. He's going to drain the swamp, as he said. There is just an egregious disgusting amount of government bloat and waste. Doge is uncovering things every day that are mind blowing. And guess where that money came from? Came from me. I
Yeah.
pay a tremendous amount of taxes, and I am so angry that my taxes went for ridiculous things. I mean, this ridiculous studies and listen,
Yeah.
people,
Transgender studies in Kenya, and you're just like, what? Like,
and that's just the tip of the iceberg. And all these Democrats are screaming. Well, guess what? Listen, you're making under $200,000 a year, but you're a multi millionaire. And I'm not talking about the insider trading. I'm not even talking about the Dan Crenshaws or the Nancy Pelosi's. I'm talking about, they're benefiting from these organizations, and we're paying for it. And Elon Musk is uncovering them, and they're screaming because he's not an elected official. Well, guess what? Donald Trump is an elected official, the most powerful one in the United States, and he put him in that office for a reason, because he's a smart businessman.
yeah, exactly. So here in Canada, we have Global Affairs Canada, and they're basically the Canadian equivalent to USAID. And so they're just as bad, if not worse. And I don't know if you saw it, but the other day I happened to see a screenshot. So I reposted it, or I might have captured the screenshot and used it myself. And it was Global Affairs Canada sent $13 million to USAID. And I'm just like, what's going on here? Like,
Money
come on.
laundering? Money laundering? I mean, what did they send? They sent it to them for what?
Oh, I have to
Yeah.
go back and see if there was even in that screenshot. It was just basically, here's $13 million.
Right. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I think that I think we're going to find out a lot more, and I think it's going to all be uncovered, and I think some heads are going to roll. I mean, listen, we have to make an example out of someone. We have to.
Right.
You can't just, you can't bark, and not do something. If we uncover, corruption, scandals, somebody, and it is at such a deep level, and it can be the money can be traced to a certain organization, which then is traced to a certain individual. Something needs to be done, and I think Donald Trump is going to do it. He was persecuted. They went after him for everything.
Yeah.
He's not going to listen to the wrong people this time around. He's pissed. I get it. I would be too. But he is all about America, and
Yeah.
and you may. Orange man bad, mean tweets. You might not like him. Listen, I think he's an arrogant SOB sometimes, but you know what? I know he's good for my country. I know he's good for my pocketbook. I know he's good for my children. And to me, that's what matters. I don't have to like him.
Right.
If I didn't like Biden, and Biden was dotted all the I's and crossed the T's, there you go.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see a very different America after 4 years, but it's actually, we only have, you think about it, one, I mean, you got midterms before you know it. So,
Right.
but I think that, I'm hoping that we get 8 years after that. I don't know if it'll be Vance. That's, what everyone's saying, but I do hope so, because I think the
Yeah.
country needs it to really heal. What happened in 4 years, it was just crazy. In 4 years, our country just went to, I won't say it.
Yeah.
YouTube bans you, doesn't like those words.
Yeah. Well, here in Canada, we've been living it for nearly 10 years now with Trudeau.
Yeah.
So, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. So I'm just going to give you one more quick side note on that Global Affairs Canada. They recently also deleted all of their files. So
Oh,
corruption. It's like,
yeah.
okay.
Bingo. Yeah. When is Trudy actually? Is it March that he's actually stepping aside?
Well, no one knows.
Yeah. It's supposed to be
Because
March, is right?
so here's the thing. As you know, in early January, he announced his intention to resign and then prorogued Parliament. So basically shut down government.
Right.
Shut down government. Well, the Liberal Party here in Canada, the Liberal Party is equivalent to the Democrats in the US. And the Liberal Party is now cleaning up their own mess, trying to find a new leader. And I mean, they're just going to replace him with another Justin Trudeau 2.0,
Yeah.
more than likely. And, the Conservatives, I know we're creative with our names for our political parties, Liberals and Conservatives. The Conservatives have been screaming for an election for over a year and trying to introduce a vote of no confidence in Parliament. And it gets, so now, because we don't have just a two-party system and the Liberals are a minority government, they're getting the backing of the NDP, which is basically the third party. And so basically, to answer your question, because the NDP kept propping up the Liberals back in the fall, nothing happened. Like, we could have had an election last fall, and this could have been, it would have been perfect timing, right? Put the Conservatives in
Mhm.
power at the same time as Trump gets into power. You know, your sidestep with your closest neighbor, your best friend, your big brother, all that sort of thing, right? But no, the Liberals have been doing everything they can to cling to power for these last few months. And so sometime in March, I think it's even on March 3rd, the Liberal Party is actually going to hold their leadership convention. So that person automatically becomes the next Prime Minister of Canada because the Liberals are still in power.
Right.
And when that's happened in the past, typically they should call an election immediately because they're not elected by the people. So generally, that's the way it happens. I'm not really betting on that to happen this time because, again, the Liberals have proven themselves to be quite corrupt over these last 10 years.
Mhm.
And again, same thing, what you were describing, you know, the Democrats of years ago compared to today are completely different. The Liberals here in Canada from 20 years ago to compared to today, completely different party,
It's
right? Like,
completely different. I mean, like, you look at Bill Clinton here. I mean,
yeah,
look at the difference, you know? I listen, I don't like the Clintons, but Bill Clinton did a good job.
yeah, he was a
You
good
know?
president, right?
Yeah, he was a good president. Yep, yep. So, I mean, but I think that, what about, you don't wanna be the 51st state?
Nope.
I didn't think so. Listen, I think, Trump is posturing because of all of them. I mean, listen, we give money to everybody. America is like, we are the bank. It's like
Yeah.
Bank of America, literally Bank of America. We just, we support so many, and we can't, to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars. And, it's that's why the tariffs, he's going to be strict on them. He's saying, we need the income in our country. We're tired of paying everybody else, and we're being taken advantage of. And it is true.
Yeah.
And people say, oh well, this is ridiculous. The tariffs, it's going to be inflationary. And well, you know what? It will be temporarily, but we need American people buy more domestic goods. And even if they're a little bit more expensive for a while, you want to come to America, make your products here, fine. Open up a factory in America. We'll employ our people. There's government subsidies to actually have businesses come here and help businesses start in America. But just importing, like, especially from China, they just want to peddle their crap to
Yeah.
America. I mean, yeah, and as far as inflationary is concerned with the tariffs, it's not as inflationary as people think, because once you start buying goods domestically, the competition goes down. So right now, American companies are competing against foreign countries. Once that competition is gone, people are going to be buying their products, and they're going to lower their prices, which helps with our economy. So it's just short-term pain, long-term gain. Buy American, even if you're going to pay a little bit more for the short term. And I think, listen, I think in 30 days, I think that things will be worked out with, especially since Canada and Mexico came to the table immediately. And I do think Xi will come around also. He respects Trump. He did not respect Biden. We were not respected. We were laughed at. It was ridiculous. It was
Yeah.
embarrassing. Here we are saying we're the strongest country in the world, and we got a feeble old man eating ice cream, falling asleep on the beach for 4 years, and posting, not posting, but take videos from his basement. It was awful, ridiculous. It was just, he was just the worst president in my history. I don't remember Carter. I was too young. Actually, I don't even, definitely don't. But
Yeah.
he was bad. But Biden took that role from him. He was the worst president in the history of the United States, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think Trudeau is quickly living up to worst prime minister in Canadian history as well. So
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is. Maybe, hopefully things can change. I would love to see things change for your country as well.
yeah. So as you know, I disagree with you on tariffs, and it's okay. We can agree to disagree and still be friends. So my thing with tariffs is, and I agree with your point of the argument for why tariffs are good or can be good. Now, I feel that argument held water 35, 40, 50 years ago. The problem I see today is the global supply chain is so integrated that it's very, very hard for that domestic capability that you spoke of to actually work. And I'll give you an example. the auto industry, as you know, Detroit is right across the river from Canada, very close. And obviously Detroit is like the auto manufacturing capital of the United States, right? Auto parts cross back and forth across that river like 5, 6, 7 times before an automobile is finished. And I just don't see how that complete supply chain can move back across the border. And part of that auto manufacturing supply chain includes Mexico as well, right?
But
So
yes.
I just see like in this day and age, 2025, that global supply chain is so integrated that I think it makes it very tough for your tariff argument. That's
Well,
just
I
my
think that
opinion.
the tariffs for Mexico and Canada were more about the fentanyl, more about
Yeah.
getting troops at the border. I think there was more posturing there because the fentanyl that is coming in through the Canadian-Mexican borders is out of control. So I think there was more to come to the table to help us get some troops to the border. Let's stop the flow of fentanyl into the United States where it's killing people. And I
And
mean,
illegal immigrants.
yeah, yeah, they're exactly. I mean, what is it down 90%? Illegal crossings at the Mexican border are down 90%. I don't know the
Wow.
Canadian statistic, but it's 90 some odd percent at the
Well,
Mexican
most
border.
of the illegals crossing the US-Canada border are people who are illegal in the US crossing into Canada. So they're just getting out of one problem into another problem. And
Yeah. Well, they
obviously
don't want to be
because
deported, so they're going
yeah,
to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously the Canadian US border is so long and massive and it's quite easy to cross it. I know of several places where I could either walk across or paddle a canoe in less than 2 kilometers in like less than 10 minutes and be
Yeah.
across the border, right? Like it's not that hard. So if I could do it, and I'm not saying this on YouTube, I would never do it. I have a valid passport. I will go to a border point whenever I cross the border.
Yeah, I haven't
But
been to Canada since college. I haven't been in a long time. I went to school up in SUNY Plattsburgh, and
oh, really?
yeah, we used to drive used to go to Montreal so we could buy beer.
Yeah.
when we were
Yeah,
young,
because
and Bradors was like 6% or something like that.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
18 is the drinking age in Quebec. It's
yeah,
19.
yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
19 here
19.
in Ontario.
Yeah, so we used to do that. Listen, I think in 30 days we'll see what happens. But
Yeah,
I think that Trump is taking the approach that America has been abused financially for so many years, and our deficit is we can't handle anymore. Honestly, I
yeah,
mean, our debt is out of control. But look at what we're finding. I mean, look
yeah.
at and you know what's amazing? Imagine he didn't win. Where would we be in 4 years?
You'd
I mean, that's
you'd
what
be the
scares
11th
me.
province.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it would be I can't fathom where our economy would be, our dollar. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah,
Not to mention, I mean, we got spy balloons crossing our for days and days and days and days. We've got Chinese companies buying up farmland. Bill Gates telling you he wants you to eat bugs. I mean, listen, I think that I really do not believe that the Democratic Party that was in place, I believe they're more socialist, maybe fascist, because
yeah,
it's not. I mean, they don't. If you look up the definition of Democrat, they don't fit the bill anymore. They just
right.
really don't. And I think our country, I think my husband and I would have moved to Costa Rica if Kamala Harris won. And I'm not joking. I mean, I say that
Right.
seriously. I do not think we would be in the United States anymore. Because I think the United States would, if it's bad now, in 4 years, it would have looked like just a war zone.
Right. Actually, Dr. Jordan Peterson made a very similar comparison to the Canadian Liberals here. You know, as we were already talking about, they're not the same parties as they were 20 years ago.
Mm.
And, you know, the Liberals over the last 10 years have moved so far to the left that they are, yeah, socialists verging on communists.
Yep.
And, 20 years ago, they were center left and people were okay with that. Center left isn't bad.
Yep.
Center right isn't bad. It's when you go to the extreme really in either one is you get a little out of touch with reality, I think. But yeah, so
Yeah. I mean, I believe I honestly listen, you can call me conspiracy theorist, but I believe they are the party now that wants you to be broke, sick, and beholden to the government.
yeah,
And you will have nothing, but you will be grateful for everything that you are given. And I'm sorry. I worked way too hard my entire life. My husband was a civil servant for 25 and a half years, retired during all of this nonsense going on with defund the police and
Yeah.
BLM, because the anti-cop sentiment in our country. But I believe that it would have gotten a lot worse. And I thank God every single day that Donald Trump was elected. And I
Right.
thank God that he was not assassinated. They keep trying.
Yeah.
And,
That was
I
crazy.
yeah, absolutely crazy. And if you think the deep state is not involved, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some random guy either time. So, but will we ever know? I don't know.
So you mentioned the "you'll have nothing and like it" attitude, which is basically the platform of the World Economic Forum. And so again,
Yep.
all of these liberals in Canada are basically plants. They proudly admit to be propped up by the WEF, and it's just like, whoa, whoa, what's going on here?
And they prey on people that don't delve deep into what's really going on, like you and I. They prey on
Right.
people that are a lower income class. They prey on people that they're not even listening to the news or economics. They just care what's in their bank account. They care that they can keep a roof over their head. They care that, so if you're giving them handouts, and they don't realize that by taking a handout, they're increasing inflation. They don't know that, they're like, oh, just, free government money, give it to me. But they don't realize what it's doing in the long run, what it's doing to our economy, what it's doing to inflation. And if you give, great, you're going to take care of me financially. Okay, I'll keep taking it and I'll vote for you because you
Mhm.
gave me money. Just like the illegal immigrants being brought into our country, being given debit cards and being put up in fancy hotels while our veterans are homeless on the street. They opened our borders because guess what? They want illegal immigrants to be able to vote so they can stay in
Mhm.
office. So, and it makes me mad because the education system is so broken that people are not being taught how to critical thinking and how to think for themselves. And I mean, my kids, even my younger daughter, she's like, she's like, the stuff that she sees on TikTok, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what they are pushing on these kids.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it was very anti-Trump during the whole time. She's like, well, Trump did this and Trump did that, and I'm like, wait. That's what you're being told. Did you go and research and see if it's true? You know,
Right.
um, so most of it isn't. It's just propaganda, and it's meant to make you hate conservatives.
Yeah. I'm going to switch lanes again. We've had a great discussion about a whole lot of stuff, business and politics and whatnot. But I know I oh, first, some of those pictures you post are absolutely magnificent of the view of the lake, and it looks like just a beautiful place to live. I want you to tell me a story about a boat and a boat mechanic because I found that quite intriguing. Intriguing when I saw it on X.
Oh, the boat mechanic that almost sunk our boat.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So this is a great story. So we bought and we had a new boat, and we decided to sell the new boat. I sold everything during COVID. I sold my house, I sold my boat. Everybody overpaid. And so I had a boat that was only a couple years old. It still had a warranty on it, so I sold it during COVID. Sold my house during COVID. And we bought. We last year we bought an older boat. And we knew we were gonna have to put money into it. It's older, but it was in good shape. We tested it out, and the engines were good, which is the main thing.
Right.
So my husband, so we get the mechanic has the boat over the winter, last winter, and he does all the tune up work and everything, and he brings the boat back to us. And as soon as he brings the boat back to us, there's waters pouring into the bilge, and we're like, okay. I reach in there, I'm like, this is salt water. This isn't water leaking from the engine. This is salt water. So we call him. It's Memorial. We get the boat back. We want to use it Memorial Day weekend.
Mhm.
We get the boat back, and he's just nowhere to be found. And we're like, this is unbelievable. It's Memorial Day weekend. Most mechanics are available Memorial Day weekend because stuff happens.
Yeah.
We can't get him. We can't get him. So we find what the problem is. We fix that. That was one problem. We get to use the boat for the summer. Then Labor Day comes, and this is great. Something else is going on with the boat. So we bring it to the marina next door. They fix something really minor, and we're like, okay. My husband takes the boat out, and we're out in the boat, and all of a sudden we hear water just pouring into the boat, like pouring. You could hear it. It was rushing fast into the boat, and
Yikes. That's gotta
Thank
be
God.
scary.
Scary as can be. Thank God he turned around and brought it back to we were right near the marina. We got it back and they had to haul the boat out of the water immediately or the boat was going to sink. Like they literally put it on a lift and took the boat out immediately.
Right.
And we found out that it was something that my mechanic missed, which I had by now I had paid him the other guy a lot of money. So I told him, I said, forget it. I'm taking you to small claims court. And you know, he ended up showing up and, you know, but he was responsible. He almost sunk the boat. The guy, you know, and he's now, all he wants is for me to take the post that I put on social media and on Google reviews down. Cause that was the only way I could get him to answer me was to put negative reviews. But yeah, that was a scary experience because I don't think people realize how fast a boat can sink.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can sink in 2 minutes if you know. We got lucky that if it was a worse leak, we probably would have sunk.
I had a similar experience, but it was my own fault where I put a boat into the water. This is back more than 15 years ago. I was in Vancouver and we had launched it into a boat launch in English Bay, which is basically like Vancouver Harbor. And we got out onto the water and it was like, we're taking on water here. What's going on? And I'm like, I forgot to put the plug in the boat.
Oh my god.
So
Oopsie.
yeah, like I said, it was completely my fault. I just completely forgot, zoned out, and it was like, well, hammer down and get this back to the boat ramp and get it back up on dry land.
Oh my
And
god,
we
that's
did. We
scary.
got it out and we drained it all out, like left the plug out and all the water came out. And then it was like,
Was it just in the bilge though? It wasn't, or was it actually in the boat?
oh, it was starting to build up into the boat.
In the
Yeah.
boat. Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And
you know, boat, break out another 1,000. It's better to have friends with boats. It is so
yeah.
expensive. Every time you turn around, it's something. And you know, living in New York, our season is short. It's basically
Yeah.
like, you know, it's Memorial Day through like October. And then after that, you might get a couple nice days in the beginning of November, but it's, and then it's expensive, but we love it. So, you know, hopefully knock on wood, the boat doesn't have any major things after we're doing one thing right now to it, but after that, I hope that's it.
Yeah.
So
So I definitely hope you have a problem-free summer or as problem-free as it can be with a boat, because as you mentioned, it is just breaking out money after money.
yeah,
So
yep. Friends with boats. That's the way to go.
I definitely need to take a case of beer down to a marina someday and just hang out until I make some new friends, I guess, right?
That's the best thing to do. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Bring them beer. You know,
Yeah.
they'll invite you. If you bring them booze, they'll invite you on board. Bring some snacks and booze and, you know, um, yeah. So
That's
we take
great
a lot of
advice.
people out.
That's great advice. Awesome. Before we wrap up, anything else you want to talk about or mention or say?
Um, yeah, just that, you know, as far as like market sentiment is concerned right now, you know, it's definitely we've definitely seen some negativity. I will say this: institutions are selling; they are quietly selling, and retail is still buying. So we are in the late stage of a bull cycle. People are like, oh, does that mean it's over? No, it just means this is the late stage. Late stage can last a year. It can last 18 months. It doesn't mean that we are going to be into a bear market tomorrow, but another bear market is coming. We know it.
Yeah.
Will a recession be the catalyst? Very likely.
Right.
I still, like I said, I am of the school of thought that we are going to get a recession. I don't know how deep it'll be, but I do believe we're going to get one. I think that we have the potential for a larger correction. Seasonality wise, end of February is usually weak into March. I am not doing any heavy buying on dips right now because I'm going to have dry powder for a larger correction. I'm not, we still are very, very, very close to all time highs here.
Right.
I would not be buying heavily. If you're trading and you want to buy the dip, sell the rip, absolutely. But if you're adding to long-term portfolios here, I would just go slow and
Yeah.
wait. That doesn't mean you should stop passive investing. But I just think that you'll get a better entry point. And I think Trump's policies need to play out a little bit and we need to figure out which way the market is going to go. As I said, I do think we are due for a larger correction. We haven't really had one. I mean,
No, it's been just a bull run now for 3-4 years, it seems like.
yeah, and
There's
no
been a few
correction. I mean,
market
this
corrections.
year,
Pardon
yeah,
me?
we usually get 3 corrections a year. You know,
Right. Yeah. It seems like there's been a couple along the way in these last 3 or 4 years, but overall,
nothing major. Yeah,
just been bulls are running. It's like
Yeah. And,
Spain.
cyclically, I mean, look at even the crypto cycle, the 4-year halving cycle. I mean, it kind of coincides with bear markets if you look back.
Right.
So, I think, Bitcoin's been struggling a little bit. I think it'll have its next leg up. I don't know these crazy numbers like $500,000 this time around. I don't see that. I mean, I
Yeah.
say 150 maybe
Who
max.
knows?
Um, but I don't, as far as crypto too, I mean, I am a hodler, and I will only be buying again in a crypto winter. I will not buy anything. I'm not going to chase. It's silly to chase. Sit on your
Right.
hands. Enjoy
Yeah.
your life, no stress.
Yeah, crypto, that's a whole other ball of wax, can of worms, but
Yeah. I don't trade it. I just hodl it. I just have some Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP.
I basically use it because it's the easiest way to send currency anywhere in the world, and then I also just do some staking as well because that's also
Yeah.
just some easy money, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that XRP story. There's some kid in my gym years and years ago. I really didn't know anything about it, but he was like pounding the table on
Yeah,
XRP. So I didn't know what it was. I mean, he told me some of their use case, and I did like the way it sounded. And then so I bought it, and then I took everything off exchange and I put it in a cold wallet. And then um, the lawsuit hit. Coinbase, all of a sudden I saw on Coinbase you couldn't trade it anymore. I mean, I had moved it, so I didn't, it was
yeah,
just I couldn't really do anything with it, so I just left it. But now, I mean, I really wish I knew where he was. I would give him a big hug because I didn't know anything about it and I bought it and I bought it very low, so I'm still
right.
holding on to it. Yeah, I
Nice.
got lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, XRP is an interesting one. Like you said, the use case is basically some of the best in crypto, but it
Mhm.
just can't seem to run up any higher than a few years ago before the lawsuit had an all-time high of $3 or $4, and it's going to probably surpass that again on this bull run, maybe if there is an altcoin season. We're going
Yeah.
totally into a different topic
Yeah.
here.
Well, Bitcoin dominance still, once that
Yeah,
cools off, then, I still think we'll see an alt season. I don't think it's gonna be crazy like during COVID. Everybody was home during COVID, that the whole meme coin. I mean, we've gotten some other like meme coins, like, I don't know, fart coin with, I don't even know what that is,
yeah.
fart coin. But we could touch on that in another podcast if you want.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I'll definitely want to invite you back on one of the live streams. The live streams are so much fun. We get a few more people on. We just have like a roundtable panel discussion, and there's tons of great back and forth. And yeah, so someday we'll get it set up and bring you back on a live stream as well.
I would love that. I mean, I feel like, trading is kind of a boys club. So, but
Yeah, it is.
but
That's another thing. It's always great to get that female perspective and woman's opinion. And yes, quite often it's very lacking. So it's very appreciated when we do get it.
well, thank you. Mom knows best. That's what I
Yeah,
always say.
exactly. Mom knows best. All right. Thank you so much, Stock Mom, for having a chat with me here on the Passive Income Podcast. As mentioned, I will link your YouTube and X in the description below.
Awesome. Appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally got to do it.
So am I. Thank you for so much for being here, and we'll see you again soon. If you're still watching nearly an hour later, hit like and hit subscribe. You're still here. You must like us.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Take care. Bye.